Hello, I'm Jerry Fort. I'm going to read a story out of this book. I'm holding this up here because this is going to be the state I read about Oregon. It's the last state that that I'm reading that I lived in. Oregon, I lived there for, it was either a year or almost a year. When I was really young, my dad took us down there to because he had a job lined up and it fell through after a while. But I wasn't there. No, wait a minute. No, we weren't there for very long. I wasn't even there long enough to get into the school system. So, but we were probably there a few months. It was in an apartment complex, and but I was there long enough to enjoy the different weather. You know, living close to the ocean there. You get all this rain. I think isn't Oregon close to the ocean? Crap. Yeah, my geography, is that the right word? It's not real good, but anyway, you get a lot of rain there. And while I was there, this was back in the late 80s. No. Late 70s, somewhere around there, maybe early 80s. But yeah, it was, I mean, it could be sunny out, but you're still gonna get rain. It was the weirdest thing. It was raining when it was sunny out. It was really weird. But it's really green and real pretty there. There's a river there. It was in Eugene, Oregon. The river, I can't remember how it's pronounced, like Willamette or Willamette, something like that river. And a really pretty river there. Yeah, so we lived there for a little while. So let's tell a story about Oregon. This is a book by Michael Teitelbaum. The Scary States of America, 50 Weird and Terrifying Stories, one from each state based on true events. Okay. Let's find Oregon. Page 204. Here it is. Oh, okay. Well, this right here tells you about the ocean, the lonely lighthouse. There are no pictures in this book, so all you got is hearing me read. So, okay. Let me get prepared. My parents have dragged me to plenty of boring lighthouses on our family road trips, and I'd never seen one that contained more than some historical placards, outdated technology, and a bunch of tourists. Well, I made the mistake of knocking lighthouses one day after a particularly tedious trip with my parents. By the next day, I was being bombarded with haunted lighthouse stories. The one that creeped me out the most was the tale of the Yakina, it looks like Yaquina Bay Lighthouse in Newport, Oregon, sent in by Jeremy Braden. This lighthouse collects souls. Listen, Spectre, I know you're the self-proclaimed paranormal guru, but that doesn't mean you've seen it all. Lighthouses can be seriously freaky places, and I know firsthand about one of them. 2 of my friends and I went to explore the Yaquina Bay Lighthouse in my hometown of Newport, Oregon. It's been deserted for decades now, but that doesn't mean it's unoccupied. Local legend tells the story of a group of teenagers a long time ago who decided to sneak into the lighthouse late one night. A girl named Muriel, the mastermind of the plan, led the way in and discovered a secret panel. Behind the panel began a series of hidden passageways that ran all over the lighthouse, including a path that led right out to the sea. It must have been a huge lighthouse for there to be passageways through it. I was thinking maybe it went underground or something underneath the lighthouse into some caverns or something. Muriel's friends, a lot less brave than her, in parentheses, or a lot smarter, depending on how you look at it, worried that they would all get caught by the police for trespassing. They wanted to leave, but Muriel wouldn't hear of it. She pressed on, crawling through the opening behind the secret panel and disappearing down a passageway. Her friends called to her, too afraid to follow. Anyone ever heard her speak? No, sorry. I'll be right out, Muriel shouted back. These were the last words anyone ever heard her speak. Oh, man. After a few minutes, Muriel's friends got nervous and began shouting for her. They received no reply. Their concerned voices echoed along the hollow passageways. They never found Muriel's body. When she failed to return after an hour, her friends called the police. They searched every inch of the winding, hidden passageways. All they found was Muriel's blood-stained handkerchief on the landing at the top of the spiral stairs that led to the light. From that time on, it is said that late-night visitors to the abandoned lighthouse have been able to hear Muriel's ghost crying mournfully. It is also said that although the lighthouse hasn't operated for years, when Muriel's cry is heard, the light on the top of the structure briefly glows, as if Muriel herself has lit the old lantern. Now you would think this story would be enough to scare kids away from the lighthouse. But teenagers in Newport are probably just as dumb as kids in our hometown. My friends Trent, Finn, and Dana Billings and I got into our heads to check out the haunted lighthouse for ourselves. It was the stupidest mistake of our lives. One summer night, we rode out to the lighthouse on our bikes. A starless sky greeted us, along with the crashing waves of a restless ocean. As we dropped our bikes and looked up, Dana pointed and gasped. "The beacon," she cried. "It's lit. Muriel must be home tonight." A low, sorrowful wail sounded, barely audible above the noise of the churning sea. "You guys hear that?" I asked, panic raising in my gut. I was ready to jump back onto my bike and pedal for home. "What is that?" I looked from Dana to Trent, and they were both smiling daringly. "Come on, you guys. Let's come back another time, like when the light's not on." And miss finding Muriel's ghost? You got to be kidding me. Trent said, grinning at Dana, "Come on, Jeremy. It's like she put a wholesome mat out for us. It's like she put a welcome mat out for us. You don't want to be rude, do you?" not to a ghost. I didn't want to look like a total wimp, so I reluctantly followed my two friends into the lighthouse. I'm going right to the top, Dana declared as we pulled out the flashlights and started up the spiral stone staircase. I gotta check out the beacon. Say hello to Mariel. Or it might be more, say hello to Mariel! Exclamation. Around and around we climbed. Dana seemed to have limitless energy. Trent and I followed, huffing and puffing. Dana stopped suddenly when she reached a landing at the top of the stairs. Look, she whispered, the horror clear in her soft voice. All three of our flashlights' beams converged on a pool of fresh blood, spreading on the old stone floor of the landing. This is where the police found Mariel's bloody handkerchief, Dana said. She was here tonight, lighting the beacon. But it's off now, Trent observed. See? Sure enough, the large lantern that had been visible from outside was dark. I think we should go, I said. This is too creepy. How did that blood get there? But we haven't found the passage yet, Dana cried. They boarded that up years ago, Trent said. That's why I came prepared, Dana replied, slipping off her backpack and pulling out a hammer. The three of us made our way down the stairs, back to the first floor, searching the wall near the base of the stairway. Dana and Trent discovered a piece of rotted plywood nailed to the cracked plaster. Give me a hand, Dana cried, shoving the claw of the hammer behind the top edge of the board. She yanked hard, tugging the decomposing plywood away from the wall. It creaked and then moved out a few inches. Trent grabbed the top edge and prepared to pull. Dude, lend me a hand here, he said. I don't want to do this, I moaned. 1, 2, 3, Dana counted. The three of us yanked hard on the board. It sprang free with a sickening crack, revealing a square opening in the wall. Without a word, Dana crawled into the hole. Crazy. Trent followed. I remained behind. I'll wait here, I said. I'm allergic to secret passageways. I paced back and forth, glancing at my watch and then peering into the opening. I could clearly hear the sound of the waves crashing on the shore below. I recalled the legend that said that one branch of the passageway led down to the ocean. I hope they didn't fall in, I muttered as I paced. Sweat dripped from my forehead now. My heart pounded in my chest. Dana! Came a faint cry from the passageway a minute later. Oh my God, it's Muriel's ghost, calling to Dana, I thought, my hands shaking as I once again fought the urge to run. Dana, repeated the voice, louder this time. I peered once again into the opening and screamed as a flickering light appeared. Then I realized it must be Trent and Dana returning. I felt like such a baby. A few seconds later, Trent's head popped through the opening. His face was red and dripping with sweat. Did she come back this way? He asked, panting, the fear obvious in his voice. Dana? I asked. She was with you. It's so dark and cramped in there, I could hardly see where I was going, Trent explained. Dana moved so fast I couldn't keep up with her. I saw her flashlight beam disappear around a bend, and that was it. I lost her. I called out for her, but she didn't answer. She was heading up at the time. Come on, let's go back up the stairs. Around and around we ran, back up the stone stairs, reaching the top landing. Trent stopped short, and I almost fell back down the stairs as I crashed into him. There on the landing beside the pool of blood sat Dana's backpack. Dana! We both shouted again and again, but the only answer was our own terrified voices echoing off the stone walls. Trent picked up the backpack, and blood dripped onto the floor. I used to be able to do that. Ah! He shrieked, dropping the bag, which tumbled down a few stairs before coming to a stop. Trent looked at me in shock. What happened to her? I shouted as if either one of us had the answer. "We've got to go tell someone," Trent cried. "Come on." We raced down the stairs and out of the lighthouse. As we picked up our bikes, Trent glanced back and sucked in a deep breath. "Jeremy, look," he gasped. The beacon was lit. I just got some chills. As we pedaled away furiously, the same low wail we'd heard when we arrived reached my ears on the wind, but now it was clearly accompanied by a second cry, the two despondent voices mingling in horrifying harmony. The police investigated, searching every inch of the lighthouse, but found nothing more of Dana than her blood-soaked backpack. As with Muriel, no body was ever found. Could Dana's body have plunged into the sea? Is that what happened to Muriel all those years ago? If so, why were the blood-stained items found at the very top of the lighthouse? These questions will remain unanswered. Once a month, Trent and I visit the lighthouse. We don't dare go inside. We simply toss a bouquet of lilies, Dana's favorite flower, into the ocean. And so the legend of the ghost of the Yaquina Bay Lighthouse has gained a new chapter. The story now goes that Muriel grew lonely after wailing in isolation for all those years and sought company, waiting for someone else to enter the secret passageway. Now, when the sky is dark and the lighthouse beacon is lit, the voices of Muriel and Dana join together, crying out for the lighthouse's next victim. Wow, it's a trip. Okay. There we go. Don't go into creepy old lighthouses. Oregon. I don't think we was even long enough. We weren't even there long enough to go down and see, any towns that had lighthouses. But that's pretty wild. I never heard anything on the news about it. I don't even know what year it was. It didn't say. They don't ever give a year, so you can look it up or anything. But there you go. The Lonely Lighthouse. Okay. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. If you are into paranormal type stuff, and you collect books about paranormal, find out if you can get a copy of this book, Michael Teitelbaum's book, and get you a copy for your collection of paranormal books, and it helps support the author. So there you go. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one.